Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope you're doing really well in this moment in time, and that whenever and wherever you happen to be on this beautiful earth that we all decided to incarnate on this time around, I hope that you're able to live in the moment a lot more often than you ever did before. And what I mean by living in the moment and being in the present now is that you get so wrapped up in what you're doing that you forget to worry about the future, and you forget to lament over the past, and you just stay in this happy bubble in which time no longer exists, and you're just right here, right now. I had several moments of this today, and in fact, it's like my day was a series of moments like that. My son and I were talking about something, and he asked me, I can't even remember what it was now, honestly, but he asked me something about like something we ate last week, I guess a dinner or something. And I honestly didn't know what the hell he was talking about, And I told you guys before that when you get in the present moment, you almost feel like you have Alzheimer's a little bit, because you're like, I don't know, I'm right here right now. I'm completely here. Now I've heard about this being here now, being in the present moment. Yogis tell you about it all the time. And I've heard about this for over 30 years. Like 33, 34 years actually. I've heard about this and I always thought, yeah, whatever. That's all well and good for you, but I have things I need to worry about. I've got bills due on certain days, and those days are coming up, and I also had a lot of crap from the past that just occupied so much of my mind. It's taken me a lifetime to get through a lot of these things, this stuff that happens, like we all have stuff that happens to us, like my stuff and your stuff might not be the same stuff, but I guarantee that we both have maybe a bully in our life, in our past, or an embarrassing moment that we wish we could let go of finally, or things that we've said that we were ashamed of or that we regret, or things that we didn't say and ought to have, and we regret that too. We have stuff in our past, and until you can really let go of all that crap, and I talked about regrets yesterday, but until you can let go of all of that stuff and forgive it and accept it and leave it in the past, you can't really be in the present moment. It drags you back. But once you cut that line, just imagine you have, say you're in a fishing boat and you're in the middle of a lake and you start remembering your past, and for everything that bothers you, really, really bothers you, you tie an anchor to a rope, and you tie the rope to the boat, and you throw that in the bottom of the lake. You know, that thing your mother said about you that always just irked you as an adult. You know, the way that maybe your mom treated your sister so much better than you, or your brother so much better than you, or just didn't treat you good at all, or your father or your step parent, or whatever it is. Maybe your parents were golden and it was your cousins were mean, or the bully at school, or that one teacher that just singled you out to always embarrass you. Whatever, that we all have someone in our past. Maybe we have several someones. But for every memory that just keeps dragging you down, imagine you're in that boat and you're throwing that anchor overboard, and after a while you can't go anywhere because you got to worry about all the anchors in the bottom of the lake, right? And you're just like dragging. You're dragging. And then imagine you go through all this healing after years. You figure it out, like, well, you know, my mom's no longer with us. Why am I still dragging that around? Hey, get me my hedge trimmer. I'm going to cut that line. I'm going to cut that rope. Let go of that anchor. That's one holding me back. You know, and then, you know, the next thing, remember this embarrassing thing that I did or that happened to me, or, you know, like my oldest kid had to wear a brace because her back was curved. And I knew that was wrong, but her father insisted and made it a point, like with the court, like I've got to, you know, like if I'm going to have the kids, I have to make sure she wears her back brace. And I knew it was making her emotionally upset and uncomfortable. And I think, you know, to this day, there might be something that's, you know, it was something that bothered her. You know, but as soon as he died, I'm like, let's throw that damn thing out. I'm taking you to an osteopath. And her back got better right away. Like in 2 sessions. You know, and it got a little bit curved again a couple years later. And she took testosterone when she was trying to make her transition, you know, to be a he. And all of a sudden, guess what? Her back is straight again. His back is straight again. And now she decided, I think there's some health issues. And she said, no, I'm going to just accept the way that I am and know that I'm trans fluid. But that's something that, like, for an example, that held her back, feeling bad about herself, you know, her back. And I'm like, you're such a beautiful and talented and amazing person, you know, that you don't have to worry about it. We're going to figure it out. Things will straighten out. Your back will straighten out. And it did. But, you know, if you had anything like that, I had a cousin who had that, like scoliosis really bad. And she had to have a back brace because that was the only treatment when I was a kid. But I know that there's other stuff now, you know, but that's one thing. And I have friends who had various handicaps. For me, mine was internal. I had asthma. So I couldn't run and play like the little kids. And that's something I got rid of a long, long time ago. But it was something that was honestly holding me back for, you know, for a while, you know. So I want you to look at all the things that held you back in the past, whatever is dragging your mind like an anchor in the bottom of a lake and you can't go anywhere. Once you're able to just like take out those trimmers and just cut that rope, cut that line, boom, 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 all the way down. Both sides of your boat, right? Now your boat can just turn on that engine and you're taking off. You know, you're going in the direction of your dreams and your future. And the future ideas, that's a whole nother set of circumstances that hold you hostage. You know, in your mind, it holds you hostage because you're like, well, I'll be happy when I have a car, when I have money, when I have the right job, when I have the right relationship, when I have a house, I'll finally feel settled. And the thing is, you have to be here now to be happy. You know, so anyway, I just wanted to remind you guys to be here now, be happy now, but start cutting all those lines, all those ties. The future will never come because you're always here now. You're never not going to be here now. You know, things do happen in time, but things are speeding up and slowing down. Time is not what it used to be. So don't even worry about the future, and the past is already gone. So just be here now. And a little bit later, we're going to go over some things that will help you to be here now, actually. So I talked to my higher guidance today and decided that today, we decided together that today will be the day that the emotional freedom technique or tapping, it's high time we bring this up, because some of you already know about it. You've already been doing it. You're probably going, yeah, I love this. And some of you maybe heard of it and didn't really pay much attention to it because it sounds strange. Tapping, what the hell are you talking about? Like, no, not that. And some of you have never heard of it. And you're like, what the heck is that? Well, we're going to talk about it tonight, because if you are being dragged down by your past, then this is going to help you cut those anchors. And if you are also being held back by your fears and your anxiety about the future, this also will help with that as well. So we're gonna talk about that, because I'm telling you, once you're able to, here's my friend Lobo. Lobo and Blackie, they're out there barking. I swear, Lobo's been more violent lately, and this other dog has been attacking him. They've been attacking each other. I think they're fighting over territory, and he came over to our house today, knocked on the door. It's hilarious, because sometimes he'll like lay against the door, and then his tail will wag and knock on the door. But when he wants to be formal, he'll sit and he'll like boom, boom, boom with his toenails against the door like a human. And he does it in the right rhythm and cadence like a human does, because he's trying to trick us. Anyway, he did that today. We opened the door and he's covered in blood. We're like, what the hell, Lobo? Whose blood is that? We don't even want to know. Like, oh my God. It's the wolf dogs are more aggressive than wolves. Or just dogs. It's like when there's a mix, they become really hyper. It's almost like they have to prove themselves constantly. It's like the Napoleon complex of dogs, I swear. But I had a lot of now moments today. And it led me to actually starting this very late, like after midnight tonight, because I just was having so much fun in the now that I didn't realize, oh no, I have to do the show. I mean, my goal is always to get it finished and published, so you guys have it available by midnight California time. That's always my goal. But I mean, it's only midnight here in Ecuador, so it's, I've got 2 more hours. But I don't know. I mean, and actually lately my soft goal, that's the hard goal. The soft goal is to try to get done before the sun goes down. But today was a busy day. My son ran into these people who deliver, I don't know, I guess they deliver meat and poultry, like, basically poultry and, I don't know what else they're delivering, dairy products. And my son caught them in the morning, and he said, "You guys have any pork ribs?" And I mean, first of all, we try not to eat a lot of pork. We are Muslim. We're not the best Muslims in the world, granted, but we do eat bacon. We eat pepperoni twice a year, and he's been craving pork ribs. Something he had here. It's an Ecuadorian dish with this special ají sauce. And he wanted to make it himself, the sauce. And he's wanting to be a chef. So the lady's like, yeah, I'll be back this afternoon. So we had a delivery of that and sourdough bread that I had ordered, because we're trying to scope out the competition. Like last week, we ordered these cookies that are probably the best cookies in town right now on the market as far as gain oatmeal raisin, you can only get them from 2 places that we know of in the whole town. It's not a popular Ecuadorian cookie. And I know my oatmeal raisins are amazing, amazing cookies. And when all the quarantine, isolation, coronavirus stuff is over, we're thinking we would maybe start a business where we deliver cookies and sourdough bread. And my son started his sourdough starter weeks ago. And I was so excited. I saw this ad and I'm like, wow, these people are already doing the sourdough. And I think it's her husband that's actually, it might be somebody else. He's trying to sell his mother a sourdough starter, and that he started last year, and he's trying to sell for $250. And I'm like, come on, dude, like, mine's gonna be that old in a few months, and it's flour and water and babysitting. Those are the 3 key ingredients. Love is the 4th ingredient. But this is how you make sourdough. It's really easy, but you just have to research what you're doing and do everything right. So I was excited. Like, this lady, she's got chocolate sourdough, which I thought was interesting, and maybe it's going to be terrible, who knows. And I was right, it was terrible, actually. I thought, but I bought it. They're all about $5 for these loaves of bread. They're enormous, and I thought, okay, so what? This is a competition. How big? What's the consistency? What's the crust like? We're looking at all the different parts of the bread, and so that put us in the present moment. My son and I, and we like opened up every one of these breads. We had to try all 4 right away, and we have to look at the crust, and we're looking at if it's golden brown or if it's still kind of whitish, meaning it wasn't cooked long enough, and looking at, we cut it open and see the holes, because in sourdough there's a lot of holes in it that gives a lot of flavor, but you can see the structure of the yeast, if it's a mature yeast, if the person over mixed it, if they punch down the dough too many times, it'll become tough, and there'll be little teeny tiny holes instead of big holes. So we're really getting into it, and we ate the first bread, like, it tastes like it has vinegar, and why is there a hint of chlorine? This is terrible bread. We went to the second, which was chocolate. We're like, well, this has got to be good. It's weird, but we'll see. Took a bite, and we're like, what the hell? It was like a mouthful of chemicals. And later I was able to finish my piece of sourdough bread, but it was weird. The chocolate sourdough is weird. I don't like it. And so we went to the next one, which was apparently a rye bread without the caraway seeds. And it looked almost the same as the normal loaf. So we took a bite of that, and it didn't taste like rye flour. I don't know what happened. We're like, what happened? We could tell that it's made with yeast, but it still has a vinegary taste. And that fake sourdough does have a vinegar taste or a lemon taste, and you could tell. But you could tell by the structure of the bread. And then the 4th loaf, my son was like, ugh, it's just, he was disgusted. She put chia seeds in it, and the loaf, you cut it open, and it was like a purple gray. It was like gray bread, and we were like, why is the bread gray right now? And part of it was purple. It was very odd. That was, for me, my favorite, and his was, the classic sourdough was his favorite, but we were both unimpressed by it. We're like, wow, that was $21 out the window, but at least we've got bread for a few days, and we will be able to dream about buying an oven for this place so that he can start making his sourdough. He's been you have to feed the mother, like it gets to a certain point, and you've got to add the flour, take more stuff out. It's kind of a long process, but to make a loaf of bread takes 20 hours. It took my son 20 hours. He's made 4 loaves of bread. You make 1 loaf, you cut that in half, and you make what's called a baby boule. We call it a baby bowl, but it's a boule, Boulen. Anyway, so there's this whole process to it. So we were like, well, we don't think she laced her bread. We don't think she did the folding technique. We don't think she did this. And it really put us in the moment. Like, we were really researching the bread and seeing what's going on with it. So that was one of my moments today, was all about the sourdough bread. And being disappointed with it, but also trying to figure out, where did she go wrong? Like, her breads were tall enough, which is good, because when you're at 8,700 feet above sea level, it's nearly impossible to get a recipe right. But she's from here, so she should know. And we were talking about that, because when my son made his bread, it was excellent, but it was a little bit short. And we were like, oh man, we didn't account for the elevation. You need to add more flour and more water, but in a different amount than what the recipe calls for. So that put me in the moment. And then my son made his pork rib, and he had bought some steak for me, but it was very thin. It was very strange. Cuts of meat here are very weird compared to the U.S. And so he made these really super thin steaks that came out like beef jerky. I'm like, wow, thanks for my beef jerky. And we were laughing about it, but it was really good. And he made this maracuya sauce, which is, a maracuya is a fruit that most of you have heard as a passion fruit. And you've had the flavor, but you don't know what the fruit looks like usually. At least that was my experience my whole life. I always loved passion fruit. Ooh, I can't wait to have a passion fruit in my real life, right? Versus like, Starburst fruit flavor passion fruit or whatever. So, and it's also like Lifesavers. I think they have passion fruit. That was always my favorite one, because they're a little bit sour and a little bit sweet, and it's excellent. Well, if you guys have never seen a passion fruit, it's like, or a maracuya is like the size of a lemon, the color of a lemon. It's yellow, and it gets weird and wrinkly. It's a hard fruit. It gets weird and wrinkly, and the fruit inside is like liquid with a bunch of seeds that look like fish eggs or eyes, like little eyeballs. And the seeds themselves are like green or black, depending on which variety. And then there's this gelatinous fruit surrounding that. And it's one of the weirdest fruits I've ever seen in my life. And I mean, it took me years before I'd even tried. I'm like, no. It smells like BO. It's insane. Like, I'm not going to eat that eyeball goo, right? And one day when we were in Quito, my son ordered he ordered drinks for us. Everyone always assumes he's 18, so he's like surprising me sometimes with wine or whatever. So we'll sit and have a drink together sometimes. And I mean, he's almost 18, but we sat and we had this maracuya, and we were laughing so hard because the seeds kept getting stuck in the straw, and we were laughing because it was like, it's an impossible drink to drink, and with these massive seeds in it. And but the seeds are good. I mean, you eat them and they're crunchy. They're like crunchy like potato chips inside the gelatinous goo. It's just like, I swear to God, this is a fruit that came from outer space, that somehow traveled here on an asteroid, and one day suddenly, bam, we got maracuyas. Because these are weird fruits, nothing like anything you've ever seen. And so anyway, he took the maracuya and he cut it open, and the pulp was bright orange, like almost like a papaya color, if you know what a papaya fruit is. But it was like kind of a pinkish orangey, but brilliant orange. We were like, what? This maracuya is so orange, and it was healthy and ripe and was so good. So he pours, you cut the top off and then you pour the seeds out. It's an insane looking fruit, but he mixed that with garlic and onion and rocoto. And rocotos are very, very spicy peppers, and they look like they're a baby between like an apple, a tomato, and hot, spicy pepper. It's like if all those three got together and created a baby, that's what a ricotta looks like. It looks like a miniature bell pepper, but shaped like an apple. And it's bright red. You cut that open, and the seeds are dark black, like a poppy, like a red poppy flower. And they're extremely hot. I mean, you touch one while you're cutting it, and you could wash your hands 10 times, and 3 hours later touch your eye, and now your eye feels like it's on fire. They're so spicy, but they have a very good flavor, and when you mix it with other things, the heat goes out right away. So he mixes it with lemon juice or lime juice, and it makes this excellent stuff. So today was all about the culinary thing, and we did that, and we were in the moment, and I just watched him, and then I ate the food. I mean, really, he's becoming a master in making his own sauces and making everything the way he liked. Like, the way he cooked the meat was on the barbecue. So, I mean, I came down today. I was upstairs. I took a bath, finally, for the first time. That was another moment where I took a bath in the jacuzzi tub. First time in my life. I've never used one of these in my life, ever. And I think in Catalina for my 21st birthday, I was so drunk I don't really remember it, but I think that might have been a jacuzzi tub. But other than that, I don't know. It was a long time ago, like 30 years ago. But I took a bath today, and I was in the moment then, too. I thought I was going to sit and contemplate about my future and about my past and about my twin flame and all this stuff. And no, I put a little bit too much foaming bath soap in it, and then I turned on the bubbles, and the bubbles suddenly, it was like the scene in the Brady Bunch when I think it was Bobby and Cindy did the laundry. And I mean, we had 2 feet of bubbles suddenly out of nowhere, and it was just like everywhere. I was like, oh my God. But it made me laugh. It was hilarious. I'm like, why do they let kids live in this house? I feel like I'm a little kid constantly in trouble in this house since I moved here 8 days ago. Or 9 days ago. But all of these things put me in the present moment. And so I think if you're enjoying your life, you end up in the present moment just because. It's not anything that you don't end up in the present moment because you've really worked at it. It's nothing you have to work hard at. You just have to pick an activity that you're just going to be right here, right now, and nothing else matters. So anyway, that's my 2 cents worth and advice for today. So there you go. And by the way, before we get to spaceweather.com, I wanted to tell you guys something. An insight I had earlier was one thing that puts you in the present moment more than anything else is when you get a paper cut. Nothing will put you in the present moment faster because it hurts so much, and it's like insane to contemplate that something so tiny and so inconsequential can just, it's like all you can think about is that throbbing pain of a paper cut or any kind of injury. But paper cuts, for some reason, oh my God, I think that's what they're meant to. I think that's a weird I think that's the universe's way of telling you it's time to be in the present moment right now. So slice. Anyway, all right. Since I'm on my tablet and I've got to change screens, we'll see where we're going with this. Okay. Now, spaceweather.com. Let's see. I've got to blow it up a little bit. I don't have my reading glasses with me. Solar wind speed today is 303 kilometers per second. I think it might be a little bit lower than yesterday. The sun is still blank. No sunspots. It's been 25 days. If you're interested in noctilucent clouds, I think that means that they're bright and they kind of glow at night on the lower horizon. There's a massive article on this, and NASA was happy today to announce about the noctilucent clouds. They're going to be on the low horizon coming up, and it's going to be more than usual, and it's in the northern hemisphere, of the planet. So there's some pictures from Sweden. They're very beautiful if you want to check it out. The ULU neutron counts have gone down another 0.4%, and that brings our today's count at 9.9% of the space age average, which means we're actually being bombarded with less radiation. Now, something I did forget to mention yesterday, and it has not changed, is that there is solar wind coming out of that southern-facing, Earth-facing coronal hole in the sun. And so we will be getting on May 29th or 30th solar wind. Now remember, a couple days ago, we said there was going to be solar wind hitting us on the 29th, which means on the 29th, we're going to get a double doozy, probably, and then on the 30th again. So we're going to have 2 days in a row where it's going to be lots of shift, lots of growth. It's going to affect us in a spiritual and physical way. So I just wanted to bring that up. In case you're having weird ascension symptoms and then you're like, wait a minute, what did Elena say on Metaphysical Soul Speak, the podcast? Oh, yeah, that's right. She did mention there was going to be solar winds. It must be that cosmic radiation and the solar winds combined. There we have it. According to the NASA All-Sky Fireball Network, we had 11 fireballs today. So that's pretty awesome, actually, over the United States. Who knows over the rest of the world? They only clock it for the U.S., but 11's enough, right? I think we don't need more than that. Oh, God, you guys, I'm so sorry. I'm getting a little chilled. It is so cold here. I don't know why. Maybe because I have a 3-story house and not living on the 3rd floor in an apartment building where you're surrounded by people on every side. We have the front and the back that's exposed now, and the air flows right in underneath the doors. It's only 49 degrees, but it feels significantly colder than where we were living. We are 300 feet in elevation lower than we were, which is good. Easier to breathe. I mean, I'm climbing these 3 flights of stairs up and down like 3 or 4 times a day now. So I'm getting more exercise than I did, and I'm exercising every single day. And I love living here. It's really incredible. Like, I could get up early in the morning and exercise and go back to bed and still wake up by 10. You know, it's just something about it here. All the roosters crowing and the chickens clucking across the little river, and the sound carries. And I love it that we hear the geese screaming. Sometimes they get mad. The dogs barking and snarling outside all the time. And I guess in the wee hours there's foxes out. I haven't seen any of the foxes, but Ecuadorian foxes are really teeny tiny. Like the Ecuadorian bears are really tiny. They're like the size of a medium-sized dog, and they're vegetarians or vegans. They only eat fruit. That's the bears here. They're nomadic bears that eat fruit. How weird is that, right? Anyway, all right. Going to the Schumann Resonance website, disclosurenews.it in Italy, they're reporting today the highest Schumann Resonance Hertz frequency was 23. So, well, not too much. We'll see what the Hertz frequency is. Now, it's not from today. I don't know why the HeartMath website is a 2-day delay. So 2 days ago, on Monday, I'm going to tell you, because yesterday I told you Sundays. I don't know why their website's doing it. They're not having up to date. Before, they were doing it up until 4 in the morning within 24 hours ago. And maybe they're still working on that part. I'm not sure. Anyway, Monday they had California was at 113 Hertz frequency. Both Lithuania and Hafuf, Saudi Arabia were at 0 Hertz frequency. And this is, again, the Schumann Resonance scale, which is a measurement that's taken between the ionosphere and the surface of the planet Earth. And it's frequency that they think is changing. Everyone thinks it's changing when we change. When we raise in vibration, it seems like the fluctuation goes up. And since it was discovered, it was always at 7.83 hertz frequency. 7, not even 8. And all of a sudden, it's been fluctuated wildly. And we do have that massive, over the Atlantic Ocean, we have a massive crack in the magnetosphere of the planet, which is now splitting off into two. It's a very strange anomaly. It's been affecting planes and radar and all kinds of stuff. So we're living in exciting times. I swear to God, I don't know what to make of it half the time, but it's crazy. All right, let me see. Alberta, Canada, they were at 255 hertz frequency. This is again at the hour 2300, almost Tuesday. 1 hour before Tuesday began. So that's what's going on over there. Northland, New Zealand was at 65 hertz frequency, and last but not least, Hululu, South Africa, they were at 143 hertz frequency. So there we have it. All right, let me see here. In A Course in Miracles, we are on lesson 300. Can you believe it? Already we've done 300 lessons, 65 days more to go, 65 more lessons, and then we will no longer be doing the A Course in Miracles. But you can do it on your own or find it or read along with me at acim.org. This is the website for the Foundation of Inner Peace, as well as there are many, 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 many apps in every color of the rainbow, so you could have the one you like the most. And they're all free in your Play Store. Whether it's Google or you're definitely going to find anything in A Course in Miracles. It's very, very popular. All right. Lesson 300 is this. Only an instant does this world endure. Only an instant does this world endure. This is a thought which can be used to say that death and sorrow are the certain lot of all who come here, for their joys are gone before they are possessed or even grasped. Yet this is also the idea that lets no false perception keep us in its hold, nor represent more than a passing cloud upon a sky eternally serene. And it is this serenity we seek, unclouded, obvious, and sure, today. We seek your holy world today, for we, your loving sons, have lost our way a while. But we have listened to your voice and learned exactly what to do to be restored to heaven and our true identity. And we give thanks today. The world endures but for an instant. We would go beyond that tiny instant to eternity. Only an instant does this world endure. Again, that's lesson 300. And there you have it. That's it. That's it for now. That's the introduction. So, all right, I'm going to take a quick break. I am actually freezing. I might have to change my getup here. I'm going to have to put some heavy sweatpants on, my teddy bear pants maybe. I'm wearing shorts. I need to fix that. And thank God the landlady is the coolest person in the world, and she brought me a couple blankets, and one of them just happens to match the couch. So I have it down here with me. I figured that might be a nice blanket I could wrap around myself at night while I'm either watching Netflix with my kid, or researching, or, doing the show. I'm down back in my living room today because I'm doing this so late. I didn't want to be up in my bedroom, which is, I think, the other side of somebody else's bedroom on the side of the house. So it's kind of like row townhouses. So yeah, I didn't want to do that. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick break, guys, and try to warm up a bit. Maybe I'll make myself some tea. And when I come back, we are going to talk about tapping, the emotional freedom technique, or EFT for short, right after this message. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. All right, guys, instead of getting a cup of tea, I just wrapped a blanket around myself and I took a nap. That's one way to warm up. Usually your body temperature does drop when you sleep, but sometimes taking a little cat nap, meow, will actually warm you up. I don't know why, but here we go. We're going to talk about the EFT, otherwise known as the emotional freedom technique. Also, it's called tapping. Now, I'm taking some of this information from the tappingsolution.com, which I find to be an incredible website. You can add yourself to their newsletter. Oh my goodness, see, I'm very tired. I took a nap and I ended up snoozing it twice. I think I slept for about an hour. I do need to keep it down a little bit because I'm in my living room, but I share a wall with 2 people, and plus my son's just upstairs, so we need to get through this kind of quickly. All right, so how does this work? Tapping makes use of your body-mind connection, acknowledging and integrating the concerns or concepts that physical pain, disease, mental well-being are intricately connected to our emotional state. So because we have an energy system in the body that travels along pathways known as meridians, which if you've, done any acupuncture or acupressure, even shiatsu, you already know about this. Even if you've studied qigong or tai chi or any martial arts, if you've studied not only the techniques but the energy meridians, then you know what we're talking about here. So tapping on the meridian endpoints will help to stimulate the system And when you're verbally or mentally addressing the root causes of distress, the areas of blocked energy are then able to be released and they will flow naturally. So that's basically the body-mind connection to this. Okay, here's an example. This is according to thetappingsolution.com. The basic tapping technique requires you to focus on a negative emotion, like fear or worry, bad memory, unresolved issue or a problem, anything that's bugging you. While maintaining your mental focus on the issue, you then use your fingertips and you tap 5 to 7 times on each of the 9 specific meridian points of the body. When you tap on these in sequence, while concentrating on the negative energy or emotion, this will engage the limbic system of the brain and the energy system of the body, and encourages a sense of safety and also resolution of the problem. And the scientific field of epigenetics is proving that when you change your internal environment, your emotions and your beliefs, your external changes in your mental and physical health will follow. So they even say it's similar to acupuncture. I agree. It's similar to acupuncture in that it will free up blockages that you have along your meridian, your energetic lines. But this is used for anything. I mean, you can use it for arthritis pain or some kind of health issue you have. You could just say, even though I have asthma, I deeply love, honor, and accept myself. You know, that might be one of the statements, for example. And we're gonna get to exactly how to do it in a little bit. So they say it is simple, it is painless, and anyone can learn it, and you can apply it to yourself to use any time you want. No matter where you are, you can use it. You can even do this while driving a car. It's very, very easy, but maybe you don't want to let go of the wheel or anything like that. You can pull over the side of the road maybe, but this is something that you can do anywhere, practically. All right. They say here that it can be used with a specific emotional intent towards your own unique challenge in life or your experience. You know, whatever it is that you want to get rid of. So, again, it could be fears, it could be anything you wish to change. It says here, tapping gives you power to heal yourself, puts you in control of your own destiny. It puts it all back into your own hands. And let's see, there's a long explanation on the tappingsolution.com about basically the scientific evidence of the effectiveness. And it goes into, if you want to read it, you can go to thetappingsolution.com. They are showing a couple things I did want to go over though. They say that the specific or scientific basis for tapping therapy revolves around the function of a specific almond-shaped part of the brain called the amygdala. It's part of your body's limbic system, and it's a source of emotions and long-term memory. And the amygdala is known as the brain's fear center, from which the flight or fight response originates, alerting other parts of the brain that it senses danger. So in turn, this initiates the thing that basically fires the brain receptors and releases specific hormones that allow the body to respond to the perceived danger. This process is highly useful when faced with a real survival situation or an actual threat, saber-toothed tiger chasing you, for example. But it can be detrimental when developed into an irrational fear, such as public speaking or fear of rejection. So when you do tapping, it has been shown to literally turn off the amygdala to disrupt the distressing response or stress response, and it allows the brain synapses to be rewired for a more appropriate emotional response to a specific given situation. So if you want to read the history behind tapping, you can read that part. I'm not going to go over that right now. But how can you use it in your life? This is pretty much the nitty-gritty, right? This is where we all have the interest, right? In basically knowing, how can we use this for me? How is this going to help me? And how is this going to help my neighbor, my family member, my mother, my sister, or even my son, my husband? How is it going to affect people, my family? How can this help everybody I know, including myself, right? So how can we use tapping in your life? It says millions of people are settling for lives that are filled with poor health and emotional baggage. Most people don't know how to achieve the joyful and satisfying lives that they desire because you're stuck accepting a lifestyle that includes emotional trauma, chronic physical pain, compulsions and addictions, or perhaps just an empty feeling inside, leading, as Henry David Thoreau famously said, lives of quiet desperation. Western medicine turns to prescription medications for relief, but the side effects are often as detrimental as the issue being treated. So if you're like many people, you might feel trapped or caught up in this cycle. You're tired of feeling sad. You don't want to feel anxious or depressed anymore. You feel discontent and unwell. Sometimes you might not even put a finger on it, but it's like a general malaise. You're sick of the expensive and ineffective treatments. You get fed up with relinquishing power over your health and happiness. You hate that you have to give up your power to doctors and psychologists to fix you. You like to grow, flourish, thrive, and put the past finally to bed in the past where it belongs. You want to be your best, live a life that's filled with peacefulness, joy, and fulfillment, day to day and moment to moment. Now, when you use the emotional freedom technique for everything that doesn't feel good, doesn't serve you any longer, you can live this life, this beautiful moment-to-moment life filled with joy. You will discover that the vital secret for emotional wholeness and physical relief actually, it can lie within the emotional freedom technique. You can take your physical and emotional well-being into your own hands, and it's easy. It's just super, super easy for anybody to master, and it's always available to you. Now, tapping is set to revolutionize the field of health and wellness, and the healing concepts that it's based upon has been in practice in Eastern medicine for, get this, over 5,000 years. So your body is more powerful than you can ever imagine. You can be filled with life, energy, and a compelling ability for self-healing. So tapping can inspire you and teach you to take control of your life back. Now, you can go on to thetappingsolution.com. You'll see a series of videos. And one is called Learn the Tapping Points. So if you want to see a visual demonstration of this, you can go to YouTube or to this website and just figure out by looking. But I am going to give you a way to do it. Okay, so like here and now, but you have to listen and figure it out from what I say. Now, when I first heard about this, I heard this from Joe Vitale, and I was blown away when I first did this. This is how I started getting rid of all of the yucky emotions from my divorce, my second divorce. And it really, really helped. And then I forgot it for a while, and then every now and again I'll come across it and oh yeah, that old one. That's an oldie but a goodie. I love this. The emotional freedom technique always has helped me with depression, anxiety, physical pain, anger, sadness, anything in the past I was holding on to. Even fears of the future that you might be holding on to. This is definitely going to help with that. So I'm going to go walk you through a basic tapping sequence for anxiety, just so you can kind of get a feel or a gist of how exactly this works. Alright, so as discussed, tapping is used to resolve a variety of issues. So if you want, just try it on everything. It's like your favorite ranch dressing. Just kidding. Here's the method for how to use it. In this example, we focus on general anxiety. So here is a basic tapping sequence and how it works. First, you have to identify the problem on which you want to focus. It can be generalized anxiety or a specific situation or issue which causes you to feel anxious. So instead of generalized anxiety, you could say anxiety when I see a clown. That would be one for me. So then the second step, consider the problem or the situation. How do you feel about it right now? Rate the intensity level of your anxiety on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being the lowest level of anxiety, 10 being the absolute highest. Then you compose a setup statement. Your setup statement should acknowledge the problem that you wish to deal with and follow it with an unconditional affirmation of yourself as a person. I love this part because it kind of builds your self-confidence as well as your self-esteem in the middle of getting rid of a generalized anxiety or specific fear, right? So a setup statement sample or example includes, even though I feel this anxiety, I deeply and completely accept myself. I mean, you could also say love and accept myself. I always say love. And I always add the love back in. All right. Here's another example is, even though I'm anxious about my interview, I deeply and completely accept myself. Here's another one. Even though I am feeling this anxiety about my financial situation, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I panic when I think about blank, fill in the blank, I deeply and completely accept myself. There's 2 more left. Here we go. Even though I'm worried about how to approach my boss, I deeply and completely accept myself. And last but not least, even though I'm having trouble breathing, I deeply and completely accept myself. So once you have your statement, this is the next part of the series of basically things to do. You get ready to begin tapping. So with 4 fingers on one hand, you begin tapping the karate chop point on your other hand. I don't know if you ever were a little kid and tried to play Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee and any random bad guy. That was very common when I grew up. And we would say, karate chop, and we would say that. And it's so funny because it was such a weird thing to say, and everyone grew up in my block doing this. And it was even in Austin Powers, the first movie, in before he karate chopped someone, he said karate chop. It's almost to make it more effective. So it's kind of hilarious to me. A weird association with that. Anyway, so with 4 fingers on one hand, you begin tapping the karate chop point on your other hand. The karate chop point is the outer edge of the hand on the opposite side from where the thumb is. Okay, next you repeat the setup statement 3 times out loud while simultaneously tapping the karate chop point. Then you take a deep breath. So you could, as you're tapping, you could be like, even though I'm feeling this terrible generalized anxiety right now, I still deeply love and accept myself. Sorry. Yeah. So whatever your statement was. So you do the 4 fingers on the karate chop point. Okay. That's number 1. Then you will tap 5 to 7 times each on the remaining 8 points in sequence described below. Now, when you tap on each point, simply repeat a simple reminder phrase, such as my anxiety, my interview, my financial statement, to help you mentally focus on the issue. So you don't have to say the statement 100% of the time, every time. Even though I have this generalized anxiety, I deeply love and completely accept myself. You don't have to say that whole thing. So you say it once doing the karate chop point. Then after you just say generalized anxiety or fear of clowns, whatever it is. So you got to do it with each of the points though. Let me see how we're doing on time here. Good, 20 minutes, we're good. All right, so let's see here. So the first point after the karate chop point is the eyebrow point, where the eyebrows begin closest to the bridge of the nose. You just tap that 5 times, just saying like, my generalized anxiety or generalized anxiety, or you could call it my anxiety or whatever, fear of clowns. And you tap near the bridge of the nose, just on the inside of the eyebrow, gently. And you don't have to use 4 fingers now, just 2 fingers is fine. But you have to tap 5 to 7 times, okay? The second one is on the side of the eyes, on the bone directly along the outside of either eye. Now, you don't have to tap on both sides equally. You can if you wish. It's effective whether you do the right side or the left side. It doesn't matter. As long as you do one side, you're okay. So the next one is under the eye, on the bone that is directly under either eye. After that, you tap 5 to 7 times under the nose. Now this area directly beneath the nose, and it's right above the upper lip. So it's right there in that corner there. You just tap that 5 to 7 times. Then you have to do your chin point. This is the area just below your bottom lip and above the chin, right there in the crease, just like before. It's another one kind of at an angle in a crease. Then you tap the collarbone point. Now, starting from where your collarbones meet in the center, you go down an inch and out an inch on either side. And when you're done with that, 5 to 7 taps there, repeating the my anxiety, my anxiety, my anxiety. After you do that, then you can go under your arm. And it's on your side, 4 inches beneath your armpit. And then after that, you go right to the top of the head. So when you're on top of the head, you are directly on the crown of your head. After all this, you take another deep breath. Now that you've completed the sequence, focus on the problem again. How intense is the anxiety, or whatever you're working on, in comparison just to a few minutes ago before you started? And you have to give it a rating on a scale 1 to 10 and see if you notice a shift. If your anxiety level is still higher than 2 or 3, you can do another round of tapping on the same issue. Keep tapping through the sequence until all of your anxiety is gone and you get down to a 0. You can change your setup statement slightly to take into account your efforts to fix the problem or your desire for continued progress. So an example is, even though I have some remaining anxiety, I deeply and completely accept myself. Another example would be, even though I'm still a little worried about this interview, I deeply and completely love and accept myself, and so on. So now that you have focused on dispelling your immediate anxiety, you work on then instilling positive feelings in its place. Now, this approach is different from traditional positive thinking because you're not being dishonest with yourself. You're not trying to obscure the stress and anxiety inside of you with a veneer of insincere affirmations. Rather, you've confronted and dealt with the anxiety and the corresponding negative emotions, offering deep and complete acceptance to both your feelings and yourself. After you cleaned or cleared the emotional dirt away, you can then turn your thoughts and vibrations to all the powerful and positive things you wish to implement into your life. So this is what makes tapping so much more effective than just typical positive thinking techniques that many of you, you've already tried, doing affirmations but not feeling that much better afterwards, for example. So it's not just a mental trick. You're actually changing your actual body's biochemistry and your energy into a more positive direction. So they say, here are some example phrases to guide you. I have faith in my ability to change. I am accomplishing so much. I am joyful about these positive changes. I enjoy the calm and peace that I have within. I love the person that I am. I am becoming a more relaxed and joyful person. So you can use these positive phrases with the same sequence of tapping points as described above. So what they want you to know is following. They have a little list of basically things that will help you. So, I lost my place, darn it. Let me see where we're at on time. Yeah, we're good. We're about 30 minutes in. All right, good. So here's some tips to help you achieve the correct technique. Use a firm but gentle pressure, the same as if you were drumming on the top of your desk or testing a melon for ripeness. You can use all 4 fingers or just the 2, the index and middle finger. 4 fingers are generally used on wider areas, but if you use 2, that will be used on the more sensitive and smaller areas, such as when you're tapping around the eyes. When you tap with your fingertips, that's much more effective than if you use your fingernails. Obviously, right? Especially around, once again, the eyes. You can tap one side of the body or both at the same time if you wish. The meridian points are symmetrical on either side of the body, so it doesn't matter if you do the right or the left or both at once. And that's it, guys. That's it. Tapping 101. You can always go to YouTube and check out videos on people doing this. And you can do this to overcome all of your fears. Fear of flying, fear of driving, fear of the future, fear of rodents. I don't know. Whatever you want to get rid of. You can also, even though I went through a divorce, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. If you feel guilty about something like that, I didn't. But if you're Catholic or come from a very judgmental and guilt-driven religion, if you're Jewish, Catholic, whatever, you might want to do it. You might even want to do this to get rid of anxiety over the religion. But, to get over divorce or anything, any perceived failure that you're not happy with in your life, you can use this. So, that's it. That's what it is. Emotional freedom technique. It's very, very easy. And it's about time I told you about it, so I'm glad we got this one finished. Finally. So that's it. So on another note, a lot of people have been chattering lately about having really weird dreams. Have your dreams been weird AF lately? Oh my gosh. I've had some strange ones. And I'm going to tell you, last night I had a dream that it was Valentine's Day, and I believe I was with my twin flame. And he had invited his friend with us, and his friend was going to bring a date. And my son also had a date, and we were all leaving about the same time. My son was going to take his date in his car. So this is in the future. In the future, my son has a license and can drive and has a car. And in the future when I'm with my twin. And so we were getting ready to go into our cars. My twin and his friend and I were going to go in one car, and my son was going to go to a different restaurant with his girlfriend. And so we were approaching the car when, wouldn't you know it, here they come again, the velociraptors, because that's normal. And then these little kids ride up on bikes, and they grab rocks out of my driveway. And I'm like, don't use those rocks because I had to pay for those. It's like specific kind of gravel. And they were like quartz crystal rocks. And so they had to scramble for another rock, and they were going to put it in their slingshot to kill the quote-unquote velociraptors, which, looking back after I woke up, I realized they were actually Tyrannosaurus Rex. So like dinosaurs, like Jurassic Park, roaming around in everybody's life. It was crazy. And I had to tell them, no, you have to be still so that they will move on and think no one's here. If you hit them with a slingshot, you're only going to piss them off. So we all had to play like freeze tag, just sitting there solid, frozen. We're just, okay, can't move. And then finally the T-Rexes moved off. And then we got into the cars and went on our prospective Valentine's dates, and the kids that wanted to be my little heroes with their slingshots and their bicycles. How adorable, right? And it's like I didn't recognize the neighborhood, didn't recognize the house, I didn't recognize the cars. I didn't even look at the face of my twin. So I didn't know if I recognized him or not, but I didn't know even his friend. And my son, I obviously knew my own son, but I didn't know his girlfriend. He doesn't have a girlfriend now, it's someone in the future. And then that dream erased, and I went to the next dream, in which I was home with my twin, and we were babysitting our granddaughter, our little granddaughter, and she's in the dream about 4 years old, and she's blonde. She has this platinum blonde hair. She's adorable as can be. Very, very sweet kid. And we're happy, like really happy. This is the second time I've had a dream about this little girl. And this brings up the issue of spirit babies. So if you are a twin incarnate and you're waiting for your twin to appear in your life, if you are meant to have children together or grandchildren, what they're now calling the spirit babies are going to be with you from the other side, urging you to get together so that they could be born and we could all be a happy family now. So I wanted to bring that up because I thought that was pretty interesting. So I don't know though, have your dreams been really weird? I've had a lot of weird dreams. Had a dream that I dated Jack Wagner and that he was a narcissist in my dream. I don't know if he is in real life, but in my dream, he was terribly into himself. Kept putting himself on a pedestal. I guess so what? I didn't have to, I suppose. And then we came across a mass grave, and that was such a weird dream. It was a mass grave of Catholic school children, again, with the Catholic thing, right? So I don't know what that meant. I'm not Catholic, haven't been in a very long time. Gave up my Catholic guilt for Lent, okay? Many, many years ago. So I don't know what this is about, but these dreams have been very strange, and I think it has to do with the cosmic radiation coming in and all the planetary changes we're going through. But I wanted to bring it up because I bet a lot of you have been just sitting there going, what is up with my dreams lately? But I think it's an ascension symptom, just to be honest with you. I noticed today we had many, many little fae folk, and they're hiding. I see them out of the corner of my eye. They'll be standing there, and then they go and hide behind the pineapple or the microwave or the dishes on the counter or behind a chair at the dining table. And I've noticed that we've suddenly had a bunch of fairies in the house. And I don't see them fully, but I see their shadows. And they're about 2 to 3 inches tall. They're super adorable. So I don't know if you're experiencing that, but that's something that started happening today finally. We've been here about 9 days, and now it's starting. They're here. So anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. This is a shorter one today, but I'm tired and I'm freezing cold. I don't know why it's so cold, but it is. And I'm going to go with my brand new blanket, cuddle in my brand new bed, and probably dream some weird AF dreams all over again. But I'll be back tomorrow with all unique and original programming, just like always. And I wanted to remind you to set your watch, Google Calendar, your iPhone, whatever, to July 1st, so you can vote for Metaphysical Soul Speak the podcast in the People's Choice Awards, and I'll give you further instructions when that rolls around that time. But if you feel like I deserve it, please go ahead and set your calendar now so that you can vote for me when the time comes. Okay, so that's it. That's all she wrote. I think tomorrow we're going to do some fairy tales, maybe from Spain. I haven't decided yet. We're going to look into it. But we haven't done a fairy tale or folktale Thursday in a while, so I think that's what we're going to do tomorrow. But that's it, guys. I'm signing off now with peace and joy and the high vibes of the Holy Fifth Dimension. Until next time, guys, peace. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.